Hey, I'm Sasha Andreev, and this is ReNew, the Green VBS. Let's go into the Gather and Send space and see what our team did to transform the space from this into this. The Gather and Send site is the place where all the kids will be meeting at the beginning of the day and reconvening at the end. It's the place where they sing songs, learn the Bible story for this VBS, the parable of the sower, and of course, do their daily planting ritual. So when choosing your Gather and Send space, be sure to consider that it has to fit lots of kids and has an area where they can do their planting ritual, which might get a little messy. Now the challenge for our decorating team is to consider all of those elements and be able to communicate the Bible story in a creative and engaging way. And of course, we're going to be encouraging them to use recycled and green materials. You're painting this whole backdrop that's going to really define the Gather Send space. What is this made out of?
Cardboard.
Okay, and where did you get these pieces?
We asked a plumbing wholesale company for packing materials.
And they're free?
Free.
Free. So this is going to be thrown away, but normally...
We recycle it and we use it for our displays.
So will anybody be able to find these?
I would think if you go to any company that has semis delivering skids of product, you will find packing materials that you can screw them together. You can
hinge them together, so you can create an entire room if you wanted to, if you had a huge open space.
Yep.
Excellent. This is perfect.
They're fantastic.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're free.
Excellent. Well, keep going.
All right.
While they assemble the backdrop, let's take a closer look at the star of the show.
Since the idea of the Gather and Send space is to tell our Bible story, we're creating the sower out of this panel.
And we're just going to go around and cut them off. It's going to be kind of a silhouette type of a version.
And since the cardboard is reinforced on the inside, it will be a stiff figure that you can move along to each panel as the story progresses.
Right.
Let's see. We'll have two of them, one for each leg. This is our sower right here. He's looking pretty handsome. I'm afraid I might be replaced.
Now, here's a tip to transform a garage sale find into something entirely new.
You're turning this into thorns.
Thorns.
What gave you this idea?
Actually, I was trying to make seedlings for the good soil, and I pulled a leaf off by accident and went, we need thorns. Right. This would make great thorns.
Now, purchased fake plants can be expensive, but so many times rummage sales, yard sales, garage sales, and sales, you can find these pretty inexpensively, and the leaves will make a great artificial compost when they teach the kids about composting their scraps. Now I know this isn't butter, this is styrofoam, though it's cutting like butter because you're using a tool I've never seen before. This is a hot knife.
Yep, it's specially designed to cut styrofoam. Right now I'm reusing a sun from a previous project that we did and modifying it to work with our backdrop.
Now, I know that styrofoam isn't necessarily a green product. The material itself isn't necessarily environmentally friendly in its inception. If you keep using it and not throwing it away,
right.
It's actually a recycling of its own.
Right.
And here's another use for your scraps.
One of the coolest projects that we have in our Gather Send space is our rocks, which are made out of styrofoam. As you can see, they look pretty realistic, but they're actually made out of packing foam that you can get from either insulation or perhaps from packaging, recycled scraps that can be reused to create something that will last you year after year. Really simple to do. You basically hack the pieces into smaller ones, stack them on top of each other, and we'll glue them using a construction adhesive because hot glue will actually melt the styrofoam, and we definitely don't want that. However, to melt the styrofoam, to cut it, we use this styrofoam knife. Now you can't find these everywhere, but if you look online, it's a great investment for your church because this will last you year after year. Just by heating it up, it will cut through the styrofoam as if it was butter. And once all these pieces are glued together, you can cut through multiple ones at a time to create your desired shape. Now the texture is the same tool. Basically, we will melt into the surface just like this. And it doesn't have to be perfect because rocks, as we all know, are not perfect. Once you have the desired texture, you just take your acrylic paint, paint it up with a brush, and in the end, you'll have a realistic looking rock. And remember, if it's too big for 1 year, next year you want to have some pebbles, use your knife to cut this up to your desired shape. The Gather and Send space is all about reinforcing and telling our main Bible story, the parable of the sower. And so our team has gone all out to create a huge storytelling piece made up entirely of salvaged, repurposed, recycled, and reused items. Very few things were bought for this, mainly paint. Now this is set up that every single one of these elements can be removed and then added on as the story progresses. So all the elements, like this cutout bird here, can be pinned on to our panels. Now let's start at the beginning of our story. We start with our sower, who is made out of the cardboard panel. He is reinforced with some 2x4s in the back and put on a 2x4 stand so we can slide him along as the story progresses through the week. Now, as we know, the sower went to sow some seeds and they fell upon the path where the birds ate them. And our birds are just cut out of a construction paper. Moving on to the rocks, the seeds fell and were scorched by the sun. And of course, we're using little pumpkin seeds to represent the seeds. Moving on to the thorns, the seeds fell among the thorns and were choked by them, using some vine of artificial leaves that were pulled off. Then finally, the seeds fell into good soil and our bountiful harvest grew. And for that, we have some brown cloth and tons of artificial fruits and vegetables to represent the harvest. Now, we were fortunate to create this by using a lot of the found fruits and vegetables from people's basements, some from garage sales, and some from their personal belongings. But of course, you can do whatever you please using the items that you can find in your own area. Because ultimately, these tips and tricks are to help inspire you to grow in faith, have fun, and of course, change the world.